Roberto was a happy, fun-loving, active person who loved and cared for his family and was raising his son Adrian as a single parent.
He was like a Mr. Mom. He was very special. He was very attentive to his son. He took care of his clothes, his meals. He took him to school, and he would leave food prepared for him when he came home from school. He was an excellent father.
When I was growing up, I looked up to him as a perfect father figure because he was always there to help me with my problems. He would always help me with my schoolwork, would always support me. He would always be like, oh, you have to get good grades.
Roberto was a very intelligent, well-read individual whose talents gave him the ability to more than provide for his family. Roberto Perez isn't the only victim. His family and friends have also lost a great deal.
He was a complete package. He was active, he was joyful, he was youthful, he was happy. He told jokes, he was mischievous, he made the coffee, he cooked dinner. In other words, he was a complete person.
Now, the parent-child role has been reversed.
He became very bitter and bored. He felt useless. He was always dizzy. It really affected our physical relationship, and that made him feel worse.
Each day he does less and less. He talks to less and less people. He closes himself up more. Sometimes he doesn't talk to me even for 15 or 30 days.
This is hard. It's as if I'm looking at another person. That person that I know and shared many good times with. I'm sorry.
This case was settled, wasn't it?
Yes, it was.
Okay. What was your legal strategy up until the time you settled it to win this case?
Our strategy was very simple. We were trying to prove fault on all the people that we sued and trying to prove how injured our client was.
It was clear-cut evidence the door fell on his head through no fault of his own.
But understand that we had to sue various people and they all pointed the finger and went like this, and then they argued that he wasn't as hurt as bad as we claimed he was, and they had a right to have him examined and things of that nature.
And that's typical in cases like that, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
Even though it's clearly, there's clear proof that the other side actually did the deed.
Correct.
They are going to try to weasel out of any responsibility, right?
Sure, Steve. Our experience is that when you sue one company for something that seems pretty obvious, the first thing they're going to do is look to point the finger at someone else.
Yeah.
And then that's part of what we have to do.
We fortunately have Roberto with us today, and so we're going to bring him on with his interpreter. So let's do that right now. It is my great pleasure to introduce Roberto Perez and his translator, Vicente de la Vega. Welcome to the show.
Gracias.
Thank you.
Take us back to that day you were delivering coffee, I think, in a high-rise here in Miami, and all of a sudden the door landed on your head. What do you remember after that?
No recuerdo exactamente los detalles de...
I don't remember the exact details because everything happened quite fast. That day was like a stop in my life, like everything stopped. And I suffered a change. It was a metamorphosis.
Do you sometimes try to be your old self as you knew yourself before, rather than, let's say, living with this situation? What do you do to try to help yourself?
After having lost, I used to have a relationship and we were going to get married, but all of that went to the dumps. Financially, I had to sell my apartment in order to be able to survive. And after that money ran out, I was practically living as a homeless.
Mm-hmm. You live with your son now?
Sí, siempre desde hace 13 years ago.
Yes, always, since for the last 13 years. Since my wife passed away, I've been in charge of him, and I've been in charge of him for the last 13 years now.
What is your life like today? What do you do every day?
Vivo ahora muy tranquilo.
I now lead a quiet life, but after having suffered and gone through that change, I am no longer the same person I used to be before.
Right.
Pero ahora tengo otra seguridad, otra
But
cosa.
I now have a safety net, things that allow me to go on, even though my life has changed in that regard.
Tranquilo, más, sea con más
I feel more
capacidad.
relaxed. I feel I am more capable now to face the challenges of the future.
As a result of your case, which was successfully won by your attorneys, Stewart, Greenberg and Mark Stone, what's your opinion of this law firm?
En los primeros momentos no tenía la confianza.
At the beginning, I really didn't have that much trust. But then I realized that as time went by, they behaved not only as a law firm, but mainly as part of my family.
Well, that's the way everybody wants their lawyers to be, and thank God you had them representing you.
Fue una suerte para mí haber.
I was fortunate to find this law firm, and they have professionally performed with me, and I will be forever thankful to them.
I want to thank you for coming on the show, Roberto, and our best to you.
Okay, muchas gracias.
Thank you very much.